I'm Ryan. For the last 11 years, I have been working in the world of mental health. That looks like a life coaching practice. I work one-on-one with people mostly, and sometimes offer small group coaching as well. I do quite a lot of speaking on all things mindfulness and health. I do a lot of educating, especially, and we're going to talk about this as we have a conversation about anxiety, about the connection from our early childhood experiences and our early childhood adversity. A lot of the work that we did together at Onsite. I do a lot of speaking about educating people about how their early childhood adversity is impacting their health, their relationships, their work, their relationship with money right now. And I kind of see myself in that way as like a gateway. People are, there's more freedom to express, to take risks. And with that comes our own, we need to find our own autonomy again. And so when the light starts turning on in us as individuals, it impacts the community. You see this in your work, I'm sure, all the time. It impacts the community. But the thing is, so what's the relationship between this and anxiety? Is if you have a dark room, you can't see the spider web, the cobwebs, the skeletons, the dirt, the muck, the stuff that's stuck in the corners. But when you turn on the light, you see it much more clearly, right? And the things that used to be acceptable, right? The behaviors, the ways we used to speak to ourselves, the ways we used to treat others, the things we used to allow ourselves to do. When we turn on our own light and we turn up our self-love and we turn up the ways we take care of ourselves and we turn up our spiritual practice and we turn up our self-respect, we start to see, right? So it's, Course in Miracles says, it's not that things, it seems like things get worse. It's not. Things aren't getting worse. We were just anesthetized how bad they always were. We just allowed them to be at a certain low level vibration for a long time. And now our ability to allow that is greatly decreased. And so then we're seeing it everywhere. And we're noticing the negative downward spiral of our thought much more easily, which can create much more anxiety, right? Like people say ignorance is bliss. I don't think it's bliss, but certainly it could be less painful than being awake and aware.
For those during this time, with anxiety, like this is really playing into that. They're not allowed to do a lot of the things that they would normally be able to do. Some may have jobs that are lost, and practices for self-care are a little bit more challenging if people are doing things like workouts and stuff like that. So how are you coaching people to navigate this time?
Yeah. So there's a handful of things that could be causing anxiety, especially right now. Financial insecurity, uncertainty or unknown future, even the inability to touch each other is anxiety producing when we're used to being in connection with people. The piece that you shared about not being able to go do our workout or go to work or drive to see a friend, or is that those behaviors, while they're beautiful and necessary, when we're people who are constantly in motion, it's much easier to be distracted from the feelings that are arising inside of us. So those behaviors, we can also call them medicators. That when a feeling arises inside of me that I don't like, that I don't know how to feel, that I don't feel safe to feel, that feels uncomfortable, that typically my first psychological reaction is find a way not to feel this. So we go do something. And a lot of those things that we used to go do, we don't have access to. And so we're kind of in this stuck confinement in our own home where we're having to be with ourselves a lot more. So firstly, I think that's why anxiety is happening now more. We're experiencing it more right now than ever, is because we don't have the same ways to run from it. Firstly. Secondly, we still do have distractions. We still do have medicators, right? We can scroll through our social media, we can throw the Netflix on, we could go eat something, we could smoke a cigarette, whatever our things are. We still have access to those things that are medicators. What I'm trying to invite people to recognize is, and this could be an unpopular statement, what I'm about to say, but I'm inviting it as a way, as a prism through which we could maybe see this. Okay, I'm not saying I'm absolutely right. I'm inviting this as maybe a potential way to look at this. And by the way, if you have a diagnosed anxiety disorder that is I am not talking to you. Okay, this, although this could be helpful, that is a whole other story. Okay. What if anxiety isn't really a feeling, but it's what happens when we refuse to feel our authentic feelings? So what if anxiety isn't really a thing? It's the absence of a necessary thing. So what if anxiety is the byproduct of ignoring feeling our feelings? What we get to do as adults, and why I'm so blessed to be having a conversation like this with you and sharing this with everyone listening, is we can reparent ourselves. We can become the parents to ourselves right now when our little one inside of us is crying out. We can be the being. The adult can step in and let ourselves be with what's going on inside of ourselves. And I think that the only answer, what we try to do to heal our anxiety, is we try to tell a better story, right? And fuck that noise. Fuck that noise. Just think positively. No, it doesn't work. I'm a fan of that, but we'll get there later. First, we can address the root cause.
Yep.
Right? It's not just change your life. I mean, it's not just change your thoughts. It's be with what is, right? And I think the only real antidote to anxiety is to feel the underlying feeling of what's going on inside of you.
Just so you guys know, we're going to record with Ryan a full podcast. So we're going to be talking about this at length. And then we also have a workshop that's like an intensive workshop for 2.5 hours going through this whole process, how to heal, how to feel, if you want to have kids, how we can do it more consciously as parents. And I think this kind of information and these tips and resources aren't spoken about as clearly and directly. And I think we get a lot of information about anxiety, but I don't think people either provide the solution or the healing for it. So I'm really looking forward to our workshop to like go into that.
If you're somebody who, when you close your eyes and you go into a practice, your head kicks in with a lot of loudness, there's something wrong with you. That is the way that your brain is trying to protect you. And we'll talk about this more in the workshop, and I'm sure on the podcast and such. I just want to invite you to let go of any kind of belief about what meditation is and how it's supposed to be, and be really soft and kind with yourself. If meditation, oh, there's my boo.
I saw it, so cute.
If meditation is hard for you, draw a bath. Find ways to slow down. Get off your phone. Read a book. Like, slow down.
Yeah, baths have been major for me. I'm letting myself take them whenever. So I completely agree. And for everyone, for more information on the workshop, just make sure you're subscribed to the Almost 30 podcast newsletter. We will send you the information as soon as it's live. We just need to add everything to the site, and we would love to have you. I cannot wait. And stay tuned for our podcast episode.